Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our Fulton State Expedited Accusation Calendar. This is a calendar for cases in which individuals were recently arrested and brought to the Fulton County Jail. Their cases have been recently accused, and that's why it's with the State Court of Fulton County. This would be the defendant's initial appearance before a judicial officer, at which time I will inform the defendant of their accusation case number, the charges brought against them, appoint counsel to represent the defendant, as well as set a bond and, where relevant, to give you a new court date. If you have been recently arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses, please remember the following. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say during the course of this open court proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. I know we are handling the calendar through this digital Zoom format, but this is a recorded proceeding that's also live streamed. So please be mindful of what you say. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one of our attorneys from the Public Defense Office or the conflict defense list will represent you. When I call a particular case, before we address the issues of bond and so forth, I typically get a criminal record history from our pretrial officer. These are factors and information, as well as the arguments of the attorneys, which will help me make a decision as to what type of bond you receive and what are the conditions that would be attached to your bond. Okay, so let's begin with Ms.
Position 11.
Position what again?
11.
11. Thank you. Vogel, I think that's Vogel. Debbie Vogel, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good to hear you. We have a case with a Spanish interpreter. Ms. Kim, do you need a breakout?
Yes, Your Honor.
Position 11. Who's your client?
Viga Renceria is my client who needs a Spanish interpreter.
And our Spanish interpreter is here. Debbie Vogel, is Mr. Vega in your courtroom or in courtroom 2?
He's back here, so we can do the breakout after we do position 11.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. We have Cheryl Maria Snyder. Are you Ms. Snyder?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Snyder, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be.
Hey, Judge, it's me.
All right, Mr. Jacoby Hudson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Judge. And for the record, I'm sitting on the passenger seat. I'm just coming up from Bullock County Superior Court. I'm not driving.
But you're not driving. Good, good, good.
I'm not driving. I'm hands-free, Judge.
All right. Ms. Snyder has been accused of battery domestic violence from October 18th, 2022. She's represented by Mr. Hudson. Mr. Howard, do you have her priors, please?
I got first Georgia arrest. State, do you have a Florida history?
No.
You don't?
No.
All right. And Mr. Tolley, what are you recommending for Ms. Snyder?
Yes, Judge, the state's recommendation is a $3,500 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Damon Snyder. And first name is spelled D as in dog, A, M as in Mary, O-N. Stay away from the incident location, 3478 Lakeside Drive, Northeast Atlanta. A one-day anger awareness course in no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. And Judge, on October 18th of this year, officers were dispatched to the incident location due to a dispute call. The victim and the defendant, who is also his wife, were involved in an altercation due to cheating allegations. When the officer arrived, he noticed the victim's pants were ripped, his jacket was mangled as if someone was tugging on it, and he had a scratch on his face that was bleeding. Okay. And the state is concerned that the defendant does run the risk of intimidating the victim due to the nature of the relationship and the facts of this case.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hudson?
Your Honor, we're gonna ask that $3,500 be a UJR. Mr. Snyder should be present in court. The allegations are true as what was said, but Your Honor, there was no violence at all. I believe one of their children, minor children, called the police, but Miss Snyder never struck Mr. Snyder, and he's present in support. We're gonna ask that 3,500 be a UJR, and not only that, Judge, we're gonna ask that it be no violent contact, because at the end of the day, Judge, she did not put her hands on him. He didn't have any visible bruising, and I believe he's present in court for support because he wants his wife released. She's 40 years old, Judge, and a licensed dentist, and Judge, she's working, and she has no criminal history, and she has ties to the community. So given the fact that she meet all the Ayala factors, I think she would qualify for a UJR.
I am looking for Damon Snyder, but I don't see unless he's got, he needs to start his video.
Hold on. He's in here, Judge, in the gallery.
Oh, in the gallery, I see.
Did you want to speak with him?
Yes, please, if it's possible.
You can have a seat right here in the first row. Just stand right here next to the green chair for me.
Mr. Snyder, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Snyder, are you the spouse to Cheryl Snyder?
I am.
All right, and she's been charged, she was originally charged with simple battery. The solicitor has upgraded the charge to battery domestic violence. And typically, I don't allow the defendant to return home until there's been what we call a cooling off period. Can you tell me how comfortable you are with her returning back to the marital home?
Extremely comfortable.
And why is that?
We've been married, we've known each other since we was teenagers, since 14 and 16, and we're in our early 40s now. We have 3 beautiful kids, 2 of them in college. And we love her, and we all, of course, we're one big family. So sit up here and not allow her to come home, I think would be a travesty. So I want her home. The 11-year-old daughter wants her home, and like my representative or my attorney said that she never struck me whatsoever. And I think the charges are kind of trumped up at this point. So I think it should sit up here and stay reduced to a simple battery, if not totally dismissed. So.
Didn't one of your children call the police?
Yes, she was in the bedroom. She heard us yelling back and forth. And of course she was.
So there was an altercation of some sort?
There was no altercation. When I was actually trying to leave the house, trying to sit up here and of course leave the house, she sit up here and swipe my shirt, and we both sit up here and had some type of minor contact right there, but it wasn't no physical violence whatsoever.
I just want to be very clear to the both of you that I think there was some kind of altercation to the point that a child had to call the police.
Mhm.
And for a child to have to done that, just the impact on that child, if both of you are very comfortable with each other and with any kind of altercation, the impact it has on the child is more devastating than both of you could even imagine, to have driven the child to actually call the police.
Well,
I am going to grant a $5,000 signature bond, and Officer Mr. Snyder can return to the gallery.
Okay.
It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Ms. Snyder, you're going to report to pretrial once a month, excuse me, once a month. While you are out on a signature bond, I'm going to require you to do an 8-week anger management class. You have to have no further violent contact with Damon Snyder. You may return to 3478 Lakeside Drive. You can return home, but there cannot be any future physical or verbal altercations at all that require police. Otherwise, you are back in jail with no bond. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
No illegal drug consumption, no alcohol, and you have to remove any firearms or weapons that are in the premises. They have to be either surrendered to the police or kept in a safe deposit box.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date is going to be sent to you at the Lakeside, address. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Great seeing you. Might be excused.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Yes, sir. You be good. Thank you.
Judge, what was that bond?
5,000 signature bond through pretrial.
There's anger
Next case
awareness.
we have in courtroom 3. Did we have another one in courtroom 3, or can we put courtroom 3 in a breakout?
We can go to the breakout.
All right. Will the host please place Miss Kim, courtroom 3, and our Spanish interpreter, Miss Ellen, in a breakout room, please? All right, courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
This is gonna be, good afternoon, Judge Law. This is gonna be position 1, Mr. Alexander.
Okay, we have Marcus Alexander Henderson, accused of battery, domestic violence.
I'm sorry, Judge, I didn't mean to cut you off. Real quick, I just noticed on the chat for position 7, is that gonna be transferred to
Is-
felony?
That's correct.
Okay,
For Mr. Alexander?
no, for position 7, because we also have him in the Spanish breakout. There's 2 that's gonna be in the Spanish breakout.
Okay, we're gonna have to let Mr. Mondragon know with the interpreter.
Yeah, I'm gonna, yes.
Is he, the interpreter is
No.
going, she's gone already to her breakout, so we'll let
Officer
him know
Norris is
later.
gonna let them know. He went
Okay,
to the
thank
other
you.
courtroom.
All right, moving on to position number 1. We have Mr. Singh Alexander Henderson, accused of battery, domestic violence from October 13, 2022. Mr. Henderson, Mr. Alexander Henderson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wanda Gann. All right, Mr. Tucson, any priors?
8 total.
Repeat,
8 total.
8 cycles, okay, any convictions for DV?
Let me see. He got a December 2021 simple battery. That was the last arrest. I don't see a disposition. It was out of Marietta. He got obstruction convictions from 2018 along with trespass. Criminal damage to property, 2nd degree conviction. I got an interference with custody conviction. I'm interference with government property conviction, 2015.
Okay,
Death by taking conviction. The robbery and simple battery he had previous was dismissed.
all right. What happened to the theft by taking?
Which one? What year?
You said it was after the interference with government property, it was a theft by taking. I don't know what year that was.
2015. That was a conviction.
Okay. All right, that's good. Thank you. Who is the prosecutor, please? Ms. Sato?
It's Miss Sally.
Okay. Yes, and what is the state's recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is a $5,000 surety bond. That's conditions with no contact with the victim, a stay away from the incident location, which is 5721 Sable Way in South Fulton, a 1-day anger awareness course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Your Honor, briefly, this incident took place at the incident location. Officers responded to a physical dispute where the victim, whose name is Faith, that's Faithe, last name Grigsby, she informed officers that she was in the home sitting on the sofa when the defendant entered and struck her in the face. There was no altercation. The defendant just came in and hit her and stated that you are the reason I went to jail, and then fled the scene. Officers did observe a bloody nose on the victim. Due to this defendant's history, Your Honor, he does have that open 2021 simple battery out of Cobb, which we do believe is the very same victim here today. He does have a risk of reoffending and a risk of intimidating the witness. And I do believe she's on the Zoom call. Again, the state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety with the conditions already stated, nothing further.
All right. It was Faith Grigsby, right? The alleged victim?
That's correct.
Okay, do I have a Miss Grigsby on the Zoom? This will be the time to start your video and your audio.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I've got a Faith Monroe. Is that your present name now?
No, it's just my Zoom name.
Oh, okay. All right. Zoom name. Okay, I gotta come up with one then too. All right. So, Miss Grigsby, may I place you under oath if you want to testify? You don't have to. Okay.
Yes,
You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
yes,
Okay. So, what would you like to tell us? Are you comfortable with him being anywhere near you?
Yes, I am comfortable. We do have a family. We have kids together. We did get in an argument, but it's not that I don't feel unsafe. I don't feel like I can't be around him. I don't feel intimidated by him. We are a family. You know, we have kids together. We are moving, so we're not going to be at the location anymore. So I just don't feel like he deserves to be in jail because of that. No.
Who's moving? You and the kids?
No, me, him, and the kids.
Oh, well, are you married with him?
No.
Okay.
But relationship. We are together. We've been in a relationship for
And
years.
this is the second case?
Well, no, not against me.
No, not against you, but this is the second case involving you?
No, this is the first case.
The Cobb County case doesn't involve you?
No.
And Your Honor, we weren't able to verify. I just reasonably believe that she was the victim due to the defendant's statement that she was the reason he went to jail in the first place.
I'm a little confused by that statement, Miss Monroe, Miss Grigsby. So,
Well, you said 2 altercations. This is the altercation we're talking about from 5721 Sable Way. Is that what you're referring to? You said 2 altercations. Is this the first altercation? Well,
case.
first case, like the first time we've ever been in court about me and him. Yeah, this is the first one. If I'm understanding what you're asking me.
Was he in jail before this incident on October 13th?
Yes, but that case, no, not with me, not for this case.
I don't understand your responses, Miss Grigsby, so I'm a little perplexed.
You're asking me if he was in jail before this altercation happened?
Yes.
No.
All right.
No, he wasn't in jail because, well, no, I don't know if he got locked up, but we had an incident. But he did not get locked up. He was home. He didn't get charged. They brought him back home.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
I was
you.
confused.
Thank you. Ms.
Okay.
Gant, do you have anything to add?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Mr. Marcus Alexander Henderson is 25 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 2 years. As we heard from Ms. Grisby, they do share children together. He wants to continue having contact with her, Your Honor. Mr. Alexander Henderson graduated high school. He also has some college credits in graphic design. He is currently employed with a renovation company as an independent contractor. He strongly denies the allegations, and he informed me that regarding the matter out of Cobb County, that it was not Ms. Grisby, that it was a cousin of his, or I believe that is what he stated to me, but it's not the complaining witness, Your Honor. As far as that case is concerned, it is open. He is presumed innocent in that case, as well as any other open cases, and I would ask that Your Honor not consider any of the state's speculative beliefs about whether or not the complaining witness, Ms. Grisby, is involved in that case. As we heard from her, she is not. And as far as any incidents outside of what we're before the court today, I would ask that Your Honor stay within the 4 corners of this warrant for battery, family violence, first offense. Again, my client strongly denies the allegations. We did not hear about any recent convictions for violence. I am requesting a signature bond on his behalf. If Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,000. We are opposed to the no contact order and would ask for no violent contact. And of course, again, we are opposed to the stay away. If Your Honor grants the no contact and the stay away orders, we would ask for third-party transfer and a one-time law enforcement escort so that Mr. Alexander Henderson can retrieve any belongings, if any, from the incident location. Thank you.
Your Honor, we've heard from the victim. She has stated that there was a previous incident last year. So that does go to the Ayala factors. There's a risk of reoffending, and he does present a risk of intimidating her as she is here today, recanting in some type of way. Nothing further.
All right. Whether or not Ms. Grigsby was involved in a prior case. There's nothing really solid before me on that. But what is more certain is that for a 25-year-old, he's already racked in at least 8 cycles of arrest. And what concerns me is that Miss Grigsby doesn't seem to be in full knowledge of that. Also, with the egregious factors that have been listed in the warrant, the bond currently is going to be set at 2,500. It is a surety bond, which means he would have to pay for the bond through a bonding company or out of his own pocket. His next court date is going to be 2 weeks from today, and that's going to be November 3rd at 9 a.m. in courtroom G33. No further contact with Miss Faith Grigsby. I will allow for third-party transfer of the child or children that he shares with Miss Grigsby, which means that a third party must be involved in order to allow visitation of the children between Miss Grigsby and Mr. Alexander Henderson. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. Mr. Grigsby, you are going to have to stay away from whichever home Miss Grigsby goes to. If she lives in a different location, you have to stay away from that location. If you and she currently share a home, you are not permitted to return to that home. You can go back one time only with a police officer to retrieve your belongings. Within 30 days of being released on bond, you must update the court with your new address. Presently, you do have a November 3rd address. Do you have any questions about your bond?
No, I got an address you can put on file.
I don't understand.
Ma'am? I have an address you can put on file.
You have an address on file?
Yeah, for you to put on file.
You have, all I heard was I have an address on file. Is that what you're trying to say?
I said I have an address that you can put on file. You said that you need an address.
Okay, good. So let your attorney know or let the deputy know, and we can put that in the chat to Holly Bridgewater, and she can update your address on file.
You already have the address. Is this your address? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So you don't need to put it up there as long as it's fine. No, he's good, Judge. It's the same address.
Okay, but he cannot return to that address if that's where Miss Grigsby lives. He needs to find an alternative place to stay. All right, Mr. Alexander, Mr. Henderson, you please understand that you cannot speak to Miss Grigsby in person, through a phone, through a computer. You cannot try to reach her through social media or a third person, with the exception of only establishing visitation with the children. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Right, thank you, Your Honor.
Next case in courtroom 2, yes.
Position 2, do we have a sign language interpreter? Because we do need one.
Okay, he's
I'm
hearing
informed that we
impaired.
do not. I'm informed that we do not from the host, Your Honor. We submitted the request a little bit too late.
Okay, so we do not have a hearing impaired interpreter. I mean, a sign interpreter. If Mr. Burke is hearing impaired, I can reset this to tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, so for position 2 is gonna be reset because we don't.
Yeah, for a sign interpreter to be
Okay.
available. So reset to 10:21.
Position 3, Dilden.
All right. Mr. Michael Dilden, I'll address you very shortly. Ms. Gant, with your client, Mark Burke. Mr. Tucson, how many cycles does Mark Burke have?
32, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
32.
Okay, we'll reset him to tomorrow for a sign interpreter. Okay, we have Michael Dilden, who is accused of battery domestic violence on August 29, 2022. Mr. Dilden, the case number is 22 CR 007068E. You've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Wanda Gant. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
No,
Okay. Ms. Sari, what are you recommending for
Yep.
this young man?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond with conditions of staying away from the incident location, 3872 Narron, that's Narron Drive Southwest in Atlanta, a one-day anger awareness course, no contact with the victim, whose name is Michelle Speed, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Your Honor, officers spoke with this victim, who stated that she was talking with her children, telling them to be quiet, when her son, the defendant, walked up to her and told her to be quiet. The defendant then grabbed her by the neck and threw her across the room. And the victim did sustain bruising to her leg. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Michael Dildine is 20 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 10 years. He has his mother here, Miss Michelle Speed, the complaining witness. He also has a brother and a sister. He is currently enrolled in high school. He is about 2 subjects away from graduation. He states that he is pretty much a B and C student. He is not employed at this time, Your Honor. He strongly denies the allegations and he wants to have contact with his mother. I did have the occasion to speak with her. She is on the line to address the court regarding her wishes for contact. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Dildine's behalf. He does not have any prior history. We are opposed to any stay away and no contact provisions and would ask for a no violent contact order, Your Honor, as he does not have the means to afford an alternate residence, Your Honor. Thank you.
Who's the mom? Michelle Speed. I
Michelle
see.
Speed.
Ms. Speed, if you'd like to unmute. It's a little microphone looking.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, yes. Ms. Speed, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. My name is Judge Law. If you'd like to say something, I need to place you under oath. Will it be all right?
Yes, ma'am.
You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
This incident happened on August 29th, and almost a month later, a warrant was signed for his arrest. The officers appeared at your home on the incident date, and it appears that you positively identified him from a picture. Is that correct?
From a picture, no, ma'am.
How did you identify Michael Dilden to the officer?
He was there.
He was arrested at the scene?
No, they issued a warrant and they arrested him yesterday. But he had called the officers earlier to the scene. It was the same officer.
All right. And what would you like to tell me?
Michael is a good boy. He's never been in trouble. He has had some issues with anger. He has some memory issues, some cognitive issues. He has been on his best behavior ever since, and I don't see a repeat happening. I please ask for your mercy and awareness that he has nobody else in Atlanta, nor is he capable at this time of taking care of himself or finding another residence.
He has no other adult relatives he can go live with?
No, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Mesha, if you want to get up from the bed, this is an open court proceeding. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't you.
Oh,
Sometimes people forget they're in a courtroom.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, Ms. Gant?
No questions for Ms. Speed, Your Honor.
Bond is going to be set at $6,500. This is going to be a signature bond through pretrial services.
Thank you.
Ms. Speed, I'm going to allow for no further violent contact with Michelle Speed and all the other occupants of the home. He can
Thank you.
return
Thank
to
you, ma'am.
he can, no, you might not be thanking me in a few moments. He may return to the address that's listed. I think it's Neron Drive,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? Within 30 days of being released, I'll need Mr. Dildine to go for an MH evaluation. All right?
Thank you, ma'am.
And your pretrial officer will explain what an MH evaluation is and submit himself to any treatment if required. He's also required to undertake a 12-week anger management program at his expense, and he must begin those classes within 30 days of being released on a signature bond. He will report to pretrial. On the second meeting with pretrial, he would need to inform pretrial services that he has already got an appointment with a healthcare provider to conduct his MH evaluation.
Judge,
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
I
Mr.
think that's-
Tucson?
you want me to assign him to one of our MH case managers?
Yes, please.
That'd probably be easier.
Okay.
Your
And
Honor,
within 30 days, he also needs to begin his anger management classes. As I said, no further violent contact with Michelle Speed, which means there cannot be any physical or any verbal altercations. And if there are, Mr. Dildin, you will be back in jail with either no bond or a cash bond. So unless you are just rolling in $6,500, you need to comply with these conditions. No
Your
illegal
Honor,
drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. So if there are any firearms or weapons in the home, they need to be removed. Do you have any questions about your bond?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, I do apologize for interrupting. Would Your Honor consider a BHET? I believe that will be a little bit more expedient than the MHET. And I do not have any concerns about my client's competency, Your Honor. And his mother is not competent to testify regarding his mental health needs.
I know, but out of everyone in this whole Zoom panel, I consider her the most competent person to testify to that. So it's going to be an MHET.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. And Mr. Dildine, we will send you notice to your Neron Drive address of when to appear in court. If you fail to appear in court, another warrant will be issued for your arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, next case, please.
Position 8, Moore. Is she here?
Thank you. Mr. James Demond Moore, is that correct, Mr. Moore?
Yes, ma'am.
Is accused of battery, domestic violence, and cruelty in the third degree from a September 16, 2022 incident. Mr. Moore, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Gant. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
8 total.
8 cycles?
Last arrest was on the 7th of this month, failure to appear, Clayton County. May probation violation. 2021, he has some suspended license issues. Also got a history out of Florida. Last arrest in Florida was 2019, probation. Possession of cannabis. Got a carry and concealed weapon unlicensed firearm arrest from 2017 out of Tallahassee.
Any deviations?
No. Not that I saw.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Not that I saw.
Okay, let's see what the state has to say. Is it Ms. Sowry?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
And what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is a $5,000 surety. That's $3,000 on the battery family violence and $2,000 on the cruelty to children with conditions of staying away from the incident location, which is 4555 Washington Road in South Fulton. A one-day anger awareness course and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, the facts of this case is that officers responded to the incident location regarding a physical dispute where they were met with the victim, whose name is Jonisha, that's Jonesha, last name Cunningham. She stated that she and the defendant were in a verbal dispute because she did want to separate and move to her mother's home. That's when the defendant got upset. He pushed her in the head and then put his hands around her neck and pushed her to the ground. During these acts, Your Honor, the victim did have their 7-month-old child in her hands, whose initials are JM. The defendant then sat on the victim and asked how much money she had in her account. The victim was eventually able to break free and she ran out for help. Your Honor, as we've heard from pretrial, the defendant has an FTA in his history as recent as this year. So he does present a risk of flight. He presents a risk of reoffending. And due to those Florida arrests, he is a multi-state offender. And Your Honor, again, it's $5,000 surety, nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. James Moore is 29 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 3.5 years. He shares a 6-month-old with Ms. Cunningham. Mr. Moore completed high school. He also has some college. He studied business management. He is gainfully employed at a fiber optic cable company and has been so for the past 2 years. He strongly denies the allegations. He states that they are totally false. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Moore's behalf. If Your Honor determines that he is ineligible, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,500, and that would be $1,000 for battery family violence and $500 for cruelty to children. We did not hear about any violent convictions. And regarding the FTA, Mr. Moore informed me that he in fact was unaware of that warrant. He was vacationing in Florida at that time. And when he learned about it, he states that he drove from Jacksonville to Clayton to resolve that issue. And that has now since been resolved. We are unopposed to any no contact and stay away conditions, as my client does not wish to have contact with Ms. Cunningham. However, Your Honor, we are requesting third-party transfer so that he may continue to see his children. Thank you, Your Honor.
So you're saying he's got an alibi that he was never even there on September 16, 2022?
What he said is that the allegations are totally false,
Oh, okay.
that he did not make any physical contact with her whatsoever.
And is Miss Janisha on the Zoom? All right.
I have not spoken with her, Your Honor.
Okay.
I am not aware of that.
On the battery charge is going to be a $2,500 surety bond. On the cruelty is going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Total bond is a $3,500 split. Our next court date is November 3rd. No further contact with Jonisha Cunningham. No further contact with the minor. What was it? JN?
JM, M is in Mary.
JM. If Mr. Moore seeks to have visitation or joint custody with the minor child, he would need to file a separate legitimation action to get a court order to establish visitation and custody. No illegal drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. And we will see him on November 3rd. If he makes bond, please be sure that you stay away from 4555 Washington Road in South Fulton. You're not allowed to return to that apartment in that location. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is the next one, can I address Mr. Vega, Ms. Kim's client?
Judge,
Yes, Your Honor, I think we
are
already
we gonna
talked to
interpret
him.
for position 7 about him, getting transferred to felony tomorrow?
I'm sorry, was that Bogle? What were you asking?
Blanchard.
About position 7, are we gonna interpret to position 7 about him getting transferred to felony tomorrow?
Oh, I see. Yes, yes. Where is Mr. Mondragon? And Miss Kim, who was your client who needed a Spanish interpreter?
Liga Renteria.
Okay, let's begin with Mr. Joel Mondragon. Ms. Lim, if you please raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear and affirm the interpretation you provide will be a true and accurate translation with no changes or embellishments?
Your Honor, if you would pardon me, Your Honor, Mr. Mondragon is my client and I still have not been able to speak with him. I was waiting to be put in the breakout room with the Spanish interpreter.
I will put him in a breakout room with the Spanish interpreter.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, but first I just need to let him know the status and then you can speak to him, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Mondragon, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court about your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney and Ms. Maureen McLeod will be representing you.
Señor Mondragón, usted tiene derecho a permanecer callado. Cualquier cosa que usted diga puede ser usado en su contra y será usado en su contra. Usted también tiene derecho a tener un abogado y la señorita Maureen es la que va a ser su abogada. Maureen McLeod va a ser su abogada.
You were initially charged with battery, attempting to misrepresent a tag, hit and run. Ms. Lee?
A usted primero se le acusó por agresión, por la placa y por chocar y darse a la fuga.
Failure of the driver to stop or return to the scene of the accident.
Usted no cumplió con devolverse al lugar del accidente.
Obscured or missing license plate.
Tenía una placa que estaba como oculta o no estaba.
Willful obstruction of an officer and reckless driving.
Y también intencionalmente obstaculizó a un agente de la policía de cumplir con sus deberes y por manejar temerariamente.
You were initially charged with 7 misdemeanor offenses.
Al principio se le acusó de 7 delitos menores.
But the district attorney's office has determined that this is a felony matter and the case is now transferred to Superior Court.
Pero el fiscal me ha informado y ha clasificado esto como un delito grave, lo cual va a ser su caso va a ser trasladado al Tribunal Superior.
You will have an appearance before a judge for Superior Court.
Usted va a tener una comparecencia ante un juez en el Tribunal Superior.
But I can put you in a breakout with your attorney, Ms. McLeod. She can explain that further.
Y yo voy a ponerlo en una sesión virtual privada con su abogada, señorita McLeod, para que le explique mejor todo esto en detalle.
Right?
Okay.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry, the case was transferred as an ag assault. Just wanted to let the court know.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Lean.
Y entonces el caso más bien se le puso un cargo de agresión agravada.
Right, so the felony charge is aggravated assault.
El cargo, espere que le interprete por favor y asegúrese de que lo que dice entienda que puede ser usado en su contra. El delito que se le aumentaron fue agresión agravada, que es un delito mayor.
¿Pero a quién o qué?
But to whom or what?
Your attorney will explain that to you. I'm just letting you know what the charges are that have been brought against you.
Su abogada le va a explicar eso con más detalle, solamente le estoy dejando saber los cargos que están que se presentaron en su contra.
If just give me a moment, I will
Sí.
go ahead and get that. I didn't write down the name of the alleged victim. There we go. We have a Cedric Nobles.
Cedric Noble es la víctima.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cedric Nobles is the alleged victim.
Es la supuesta víctima Cedric Noble.
Bueno, yo no sé cómo se llama él, pero
I
él es
don't
una
know what his name is.
Es un afroamericano que vive ahí cerca de la casa donde yo vivo, que cuando pasé por
You want me to interpret everything? So talking about the incident.
para que
Okay.
sepa.
I don't think his attorney will like that. So, Ms. Lynn, please advise him that do not discuss the case, otherwise he might end up incriminating himself. But I will let him have an opportunity to speak with his attorney.
Okay, señor, por favor, asegúrese de que no dice que vaya a ser usado en su contra. Ahorita va a hablar con su abogada y ella le va a indicar lo que tienen que hacer. Cualquier cosa que usted diga ahora puede ser y será usado en su contra. ¿Entendió eso?
Sí, lo entiendo muy bien.
I understand very well.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. McLeod, I'm going to put you in the breakout room very shortly. I have one other case where I need Ms. Lean.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. May I have, was it Omar Vega Renteria?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Señor Mondragón, siéntese en el banco atrás y que pase el señor Rentería, por favor.
Mr. Omar Vega Renteria, my name is Judge Lal, and you have two cases which I'm going to address.
Señor Vega Rentería, yo soy la juez Lol y tiene dos casos a los cuales le voy a explicar ahora, le voy a decir lo que son.
First, remember that you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you say will be translated, and those statements can be used against you in the prosecution of your case.
Señor, entienda que tiene derecho a permanecer callado. Cualquier cosa que usted diga va a ser traducido y puede ser y será usado en su contra. ¿Entendió eso?
You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, we have a public defense counsel who's representing you, and that's Ms. Kim.
Usted tiene derecho a tener un abogado. Si no puede contratar su propio abogado, se le nombra un abogado de oficio. Esa es la señorita Kim, que se le ha nombrado a usted como la abogada defensora en su caso.
In the first case, 22 CR 007-077J.
En el primer caso, que es el 22 CR 007-077J.
You are charged with battery domestic violence from January 27, 2021.
Se le acusa por golpes bajo la ley de violencia familiar que ocurrió el 27 de enero del 2021.
In the second case, 22 CR 007-078J, you're also charged with battery domestic violence from November 7th, 2021.
En el caso del segundo caso, que es el 22 CR 007-078J, que ocurrió en noviembre del 2007 al 2021, se le acusa por golpes simples bajo la ley de violencia familiar.
We are first going to hear your criminal history record, if you have one.
Vamos a ver primero su historia, su antecedente penal, si tiene uno. La intérprete corrige, el caso fue por golpes simples.
Mr. Tucson, does he have a record?
All right, so he got 10 total.
Tiene 10 en total.
He got 7 cycles out of Georgia.
Tiene 7 de aquí de Georgia.
All of them are driving without a valid license.
Todos son manejar sin licencia válida.
Except for 04 CWAC that was dismissed.
Excepción de uno que fue retirado, el 04.
And he got 3 cycles by Border Patrol for alien inadmissibility.
Y también
They don't have any violence.
Tiene 3 cargos por entrar de la frontera, de la patrulla fronteriza por entrar sin ser admitido legalmente al país. Aquí no tiene ningún tipo de cargos que tengan que ver con violencia.
Right. Ms. Sauri or Mr. Toll, what is your recommendation for Mr. Vega Renteria?
Yes, Judge. The state's bond recommendation is a $3,500 surety bond. No further contact with the victim.
Okay.
I can spell it, Judge, because it's difficult to pronounce. Guadalupe.
Okay. Hang on, I'm going to let the interpreter say what you just said.
La fiscal está recomendando una fianza de caución de $3,500.
Okay, Guadalupe Gallardo Garcia, and that is spelled Guadalupe A, D as in dog, A-L-O-P-E. Last name is Gallardo-Garcia.
Contra la víctima, que es Guadalupe Gallardo García y se deletrea Guadalupe García.
Stay away from the incident location, 5801 Kingsport Drive, Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Que se mantenga alejado de la ubicación que es 5801 Kingsport Drive en Georgia.
A one-day anger awareness course.
Una clase que lleva un día para poder estar consciente de controlar el comportamiento o controlar el temperamento.
And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y no puede usar ningún tipo de drogas o de alcohol, ni tampoco tener armas mientras está bajo fianza.
I'm going to pause. Do you know what the relationship is between Guadalupe to the defendant?
Yes, Judge, they share kids together and they are boyfriend and girlfriend.
¿Cuál es la relación con esta víctima y que viven juntos y que comparten niños, tienen hijos en común?
And what about Itzel Garcia?
¿Y qué tal Itzel García?
In the second case.
En el segundo caso.
Let's see, Judge. I got the same, it was the same victim from what I saw, Judge.
That name was Itzel.
El nombre fue Itzel, de la misma víctima.
Though,
double check, Judge.
Oh, no, that's okay, because the first, in the January 27 incident, the victim's name begins with Itzel. The warrant is not very clear.
Yes, it was muffled, the words. Yes, Judge. Yes.
Go ahead, Miss Lane.
Entonces, en la orden de arresto del 27 de enero, el nombre que se dice es Itzel, no estaba muy claro, pero es el nombre que se puede ver en la orden de arresto.
So it appears to be the same victim. I mean, I'm just trying to read. The first warrant is very fuzzy.
Creo que es la misma víctima, pero la primera orden de arresto, la palabra está un poco confusa, no sé, un poco borrosa, no se puede ver bien, no se puede ver bien.
Okay.
Yes, Judge. I'm checking on in Odyssey, and it is the same victim for both cases.
Es la misma víctima para los dos casos.
Okay, thank you. I've actually read the warrant, so I'm good to go. Ms. Kim, what is your recommendation?
Yes, Your
Señorita
Honor.
Kim, ¿cuál es su recomendación?
We would like to recommend for signature on bond.
Recomendamos que se le dé una fianza bajo palabra.
Mr. Viga Renteria is 38 years old.
El señor Viga Rentería tiene 38 años.
He has been here in Georgia for the last 18 years.
Ha vivido en Georgia por los últimos 18 años.
And they do not live together anymore, Your Honor.
Y ellos no viven juntos ya más, ya no están viviendo juntos.
He resides at 5801 Kingsport.
Él vive en el 5801 Kingsport.
And yet, jail, the complaining witness and 3 children live in a different location.
Y la persona con los 3 niños, Itzel, vive en otro sitio.
Even though there were 2 incidents, after those incidents, he has had contacts with jail, they're co-parenting, and he's been paying for all those 3 children and her expenses as well.
Después de los 2 incidentes, ellos han estado comunicándose y han tenido contacto, y él la está ayudando, ella vive en otro lado con los otros 3 niños y lo está ayudando a mantener a los niños y están compartiendo la crianza de los niños.
He has total of 4 children here in Georgia.
Él tiene un total de 4 hijos o hijas aquí en Georgia.
3 children with Miss Itzel.
3 niños con la señorita Itzel.
And he has been working as, now he's going to start a new job this coming Monday.
Él va a empezar un trabajo nuevo este lunes que viene.
Doing the cooking for Chick-fil-A.
Como cocinero en Chick-fil-A.
So he wants to get out of the jail so he can start his job, new job.
Él quiere salir de la cárcel para poder empezar a para empezar a trabajar en su trabajo nuevo.
His education was up to 8th grade in Mexico.
En México terminó hasta el grado 8.
And actually, we would like to request for signature on bond. That's it, Your Honor.
Y pedimos por favor se le autorice una fianza bajo palabra. Eso es todo, su señoría.
And Judge, if the state may add that they are concerned this defendant he has a risk of reoffending, considering that he committed another offense of battery family violence against the same victim and within the same year.
Y la fiscal tiene la preocupación de que esta persona, este acusado, pueda reincidir de nuevo porque ha cometido 2 delitos, uno después del otro, en el mismo año. Se dio el segundo delito del mismo tipo, contra la misma víctima.
Bond is set at $2,500 on each count. That's a surety bond. Total bond is going to be $5,000.
Se establece una fianza de $2,500 para cada cargo, por lo tanto va a ser una caución de $5,000.
Next court date is November 3rd.
La siguiente fecha para que el presente al tribunal es el 3 de noviembre.
No further contact with Itzel, whatever her middle name is, Garcia, Itzel Garcia.
No puede tener más contacto con Itzel García, el segundo apellido no lo sé, pero Itzel García.
He needs to stay away from wherever she lives.
Él tiene que mantenerse alejado de donde ella vive.
And I'll allow for third-party transfer of the minor children he shares with Miss Itzel.
Y voy a conceder de que haya una tercera persona para que pueda hacer la transferencia de los niños que comparte con la señorita Itzel, que haya una tercera persona que se encargue de trasladar a los niños.
He may return to 5801 Kingsport Drive in Atlanta, Georgia, only if, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Él puede regresar a la dirección de 5801 en Kingsport, en Atlanta, Georgia, solamente si.
He may return there only if Miss Itzel and the kids do not live there.
O solamente puede regresar a ese sitio si la señorita Itzel y los niños ya no viven ahí, si ellos no están ahí.
As he has a no further contact from Miss Itzel Garcia, he cannot invite her or allow her to come over to Kingsport Drive if she doesn't live there.
Y si la señorita Itzel no vive ahí, él no puede contactarla a ella ni invitarla a que ella venga a estar con él en ese sitio, ya que no vive ahí, no pueden tener ningún tipo de contacto ni invitarla a ella a estar con él.
No illegal drugs, no weapons, no firearms, and no alcohol, and that's it.
No puede usar drogas ilegales, alcohol o armas, ningún tipo de drogas. Puede utilizar esto mientras esté bajo libertad vigilada. Perdón, bajo libertad bajo fianza.
All right, that concludes these cases. Thank you.
Esto concluye estos casos. Thank you. Gracias. Your Honor, may I be put in the breakout room with Mrs. McLeo so I can talk to her and her client?
Yes, please. Thank you. If the host could please place Miss Maureen McLeod, our Spanish interpreter, Miss Lean, and courtroom 3, we will need to bring Mr. Mondrago back to the seat. And they need to be in a breakout room. Miss Sari, I got your note about position 5. I'll address that towards the end of the calendar.
Thank you.
This is our next case in courtroom 2. Courtroom 2. Deputy Francois.
I'm sorry, Judge, I thought I was unmuted. Position 10, Sawyer.
This is Jared Sawyer, charged with two counts of striking an unattended vehicle, failure to report an accident, and possession of an open alcohol container from October 19th, 2022. Case number is 22 CR 007-075E. Mr. Sawyer, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr.
Second arrest, last was back in April for suspended license.
Thank you. Ms. Sato?
Yes, Judge, the state's bond recommendation is a total of a $2,000 surety bond, and that's $500 for each count, with conditions of no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Right.
Judge, in this case, on October 19th of this year, the defendant was driving a Dodge Challenger and struck two vehicles, a white Chevrolet Malibu and a Mini Cooper. He failed to notify the proper authorities of striking multiple vehicles. During the inventory, an empty vodka bottle and a red cup containing clear liquid with a strong odor of alcohol was discovered. Judge, the state is concerned that this defendant is a flight risk due to the 8 failure to appears that were listed in his driving history from municipal court. Also, he fled the scene during this incident. He also runs the risk of reoffending, considering that he does have an open case for driving with a suspended license, a suspended or revoked license with an incident date of April the 6th of 2022.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Sawyer is 25 years old, Your Honor, and he was born and raised here in Georgia. He has all his family members here in Georgia. Indeed, his job is actually, he's a pastor for the church, and he also has a small consulting firm. He's been doing that for about 10 years. He was ordained at the age of 16. He was able to provide motivating speaking ever since he was 5 years old, Your Honor. And yesterday, what happened was his cousin died at the fire in the morning. There was a huge fire in the South Fulton County, and he was driving to the Grady where another cousin was hospitalized, and he was under a lot of emotional distress and stress, and he did not, that happened at the Grady. He did not run away from anywhere. He just was at the Grady to talk to his cousin about what was going on, and he was not drunken. He graduated from Morehouse College, majoring in religion and sociology. And right now, he does have a cardio condition and also special condition for his lung. He was supposed to have an appointment with a doctor today, and yet he couldn't go to the doctor's meeting because of this incarceration. We would like to request for signature on bond since this is his first, almost first offense, and signature bond would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the striking the unattended vehicle, that's going to be $750 each, and that's a $1,500 surety bond. The failure to report accident in possession of an open alcohol container, that's $500 each, and that's a signature bond through the jail. The total is $2,500. It's a split bond. No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, proper and adequate insurance, and a valid registration. Next court date will be November 3rd. If he makes bond, he needs to make sure that we have a correct address for Mr. Sawyer, and we'll send him notice for his next court date. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Miss, make sure you have to put that yellow hand down. I can't. All right, thank you.
I'm trying to. That's what I'm over here doing. I'm trying not to mess up nothing. I'm trying to take this off. I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time.
Mute, mute, mute. Thank you. Next case, please.
Position 6, Kindred.
Omar Rashid Kindred is accused of battery domestic violence from October 18th, 2022, case number 22CR007071F. Mr. Kindred, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Gant. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
29 total. Last arrest 2015, disorderly conduct, giving false name, cruelty in the third. Those were dismissed. Got a probation violation, underlying charge with terroristic threats, 2 counts, 1 count of obstruction.
Are they all from Georgia? 29 cycles?
Yes.
Any convictions for DV matters?
Besides the terrorist threats. He got ag assault from 07 conviction. 06 disorderly conduct. Hold on. More terrorist threats from the 90s? From the 90s. Yeah, he got simple battery from the 90s.
Okay. All right, Ms. Sowry?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is a $5,000 surety bond with conditions of no contact with the victim, whose name is Brianna Miller. One-day anger awareness course, stay away from the incident location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Your Honor, this incident took place at 3093 Grove Circle in Hateville. Officers were responding to a domestic dispute. They met with the victim, who stated that she was asleep in her bed when the defendant came home and he began to punch her. And she did sustain a swollen eye as well as a scratch on her eyelid. Your Honor, as we've heard from pretrial, the defendant does have a 2007 ag assault. That was a guilty conviction. That terroristic threat and obstruction charge, that was a felony, and it was a guilty conviction, as well as that 2013 probation violation. Your Honor, this defendant does present a risk of intimidating the victim and reoffending, as well as he is a violent offender. Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kent?
Thank you, Yana. Mr. Omar Kindred is 46 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area his entire life. He has 3 children, ages 16, 14, and 13. He is currently paying child support for his children, Your Honor. Mr. Kindred obtained a GED. He is currently employed as a chef at a local university. He has been in that position for 1 year. He strongly denies the allegations. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Kindred's behalf. And if Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, I would ask for a more reasonable bond of no more than $1,000. I do acknowledge my client's history. However, Your Honor, the violent convictions are rather remote. He does want contact with Ms. Brianna Miller. Therefore, we are opposed to any no contact and stay away orders. I did have the occasion to speak with her. She states that she wants to have contact, and I do believe that she'll address the court, but we do not believe that he is at risk of neither intimidating nor reoffending, as he is presumed innocent, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Brianna Miller, I do see you on the Zoom. If you'd like to testify, you are free to do so, but if you don't want to, that's also your right. What would you like to do?
I'll testify.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
I am 31.
Okay. And this just happened a couple of days ago.
Yes, ma'am.
And what would you like to tell me?
Well, there was an argument that actually led up to this. We actually had an argument earlier within the night, and he just randomly came into the room and just started talking to me, and everything just decided to, I guess, went left. I do not feel intimidated by him whatsoever. I do not feel a threat to my safety. We've been in a relationship for 3 years now. This is not a thing that has happened multiple times. So I don't feel any need that he has to be away from me. I would like to stay in contact.
And do you live at the Grove Circle location?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your home or his home?
We are both renting.
Both renting, okay.
And Your Honor, I'm sorry if you're complete with the victim. I did want to note in the report that the defendant himself stated that the victim calls the police all the time. So this does not appear to be a first-time incident.
All right, thank you. Anything else to add, Ms. Miller?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. On the battery domestic violence, what is more concerning than this incident is his extensive arrest record, 29 cycles, and he's not even 50 years old, which is quite a lot. And then considering the incident that occurred just 2 days ago, I'm not sure what the provocation is. I understand from Ms. Miller what it is, but that's something I think is going to be fleshed out during trial. Bond is set at $2,500. It is a surety bond. Mr. Kindred, you are to have no further contact with Brianna Miller. You're to stay away from 1393 Grove Circle in Hapeville, Georgia. You may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. After that, if once released, you have to update us with your new address within 30 days of your release. Presently, your next court date is going to be November 3rd. If you do make bond, make sure you let us know your new address so we can send you notice of your next court date. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you. Next case, please.
Position 5, Irby.
Your Honor, that's the breakout case.
Oh, do we have any other cases in courtroom 2?
Yes, we do, Judge. They're gonna do you last. Irby.
And
We
Your
have
Honor, I did
position
request.
4.
Say it again, Judge.
Position 4.
Position 4.
Eisen Newman.
He's in the back right now, so I can't do his case.
Okay,
Position
that's fine.
9, Payne, come on, Mr. Payne.
And Your Honor, I did request a breakout for position 4.
Okay,
And Your Honor, the state would oppose or object to that breakout.
my goodness, we'll deal with that when we're in the breakout. Thank you. Mr. Payne's with us right now, and he's not. Vincent Haywood Payne is accused of battery domestic violence from October 18, 2022. And Mr. Payne, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Your accusation number is 22 CR 007-073Y. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
It's his 5th arrest. Last arrest was back in August. Speeding, reckless driving, possession of a firearm, intent to go armed, possession of unlawful drug paraphernalia, possession of a Schedule 6. That was out of Knoxville, Tennessee. That appears to be open. 2015 out of New York, possession of a weapon, 2nd degree, assault, 1st degree, intent to cause serious injury with weapon, criminal mischief, reckless endangerment. I don't see the dispositions for those. 2016 out of New Jersey, possession of drugs with intent. Last arrest in Georgia was September 2021, battery DV.
September 2021?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the, you signed that order.
I remember.
That's a $2,500 pretrial bond. That's all.
Okay, oh, this one's signed. Thank you, Holly. Okay, and that was, is it Miss Sari or Miss?
Tolan, Judge.
Okay, yes. So I know we're talking about the same alleged victim. Okay, yes, Mr. Toll, what would you like to recommend?
Yes, Judge. The state's bond recommendation is a $4,500 surety bond. No further contact with the victim, Vanique Upkins, and that is spelled V as in Violet, A, N as in Nancy, IQUE. Stay away from the incident location, 900 Holcomb Bridge Road, Roswell, Georgia, and also the home that they both reside in, which is 1050 Hammond Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30328. Completion of a 1-day anger awareness course, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out. Judge, on October 18th of this year, the victim and the defendant, who was also her boyfriend, were involved in a dispute. While the victim was driving, the defendant was in the passenger seat and grabbed the steering wheel and caused the vehicle to hit the curb and made the passenger side tires go flat. He then proceeded to hit and bite her in the face. The victim began to run. The defendant chased her, and as he was chasing her, he hit her. He was hitting her from behind, and it caused her to fall and twist her ankle. The officer did notice visible lacerations to her face and on her right hand. And Judge, the state is concerned that this defendant does run the risk of reoffending due to the open case, the date of the open case out in Tennessee, which was August 19th of 2022. He also does, he is also a multi-state offender, considering that he does have the open case in Tennessee, and the state is concerned about the ties that he has to the community. We have spoken to the victim, and she states that they're no longer in a relationship, they no longer live together, and they share no children. She said that she does not fear the defendant, and she also stated that the defendant does need to have a one-time law enforcement or escort for him to retrieve his belongings.
I'm just curious. You said they are living together and they're now no longer. When did they stop living together?
Well, Judge, this is the information that the warrant stated that they lived together. However, she did speak to our victim advocate today, and I believe after the incident is when they stopped living together.
After this incident?
Correct, Judge. Mm-hmm.
All right. Ms. Kim?
Yes,
I will let you speak, Mr. Payne. Just put your hand down. I will let you speak. Thank you.
And Judge, I'm sorry, I do see the victim on the line, and if you can sound for her when it's appropriate.
Understood. Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Vincent Payne is 26 years old, Your Honor, and the apartment 1050 Hammond Drive is actually his apartment, and she resides at another location. So we would like to have a one-time law enforcement officer to verify that Ms. Vinick Upkins is not there, so my client can return to his place. And yes, they broke up, and they do not have a children right now, so we have no objection to no further contact or stay away from her place. My client has been here in Georgia for about 2 years, Your Honor, and he does music, and he also has a DHS supply job lined up, which he can start this Monday. So he really want to get out so he can start his Monday. He does have a GED, and he has a special chronic medical condition where he cannot take the coldness. It's called anemic, and he is afraid that he's going to throw up and not be able to function well at the jail temperature. So we would like to make sure that it gets considered. He also has other 2 different types of medical condition that he needs to take care of. We would like to request for a signature on bond. And if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the open case that is in Tennessee, my client says that he took care of that probation. It was dismissed. The one that is considered open is no longer open, according to my client. And we would like to request for a signature on bond. Thanks.
The one that is dismissed, which case are we talking about?
The one from Tennessee on August 1922, reckless driving / speeding, drugs, Schedule 6, those charges were dropped. And
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Upkins, if you are on the Zoom and if you want to contribute, you're more than welcome to speak. Otherwise, Ms.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
All right, Ms. Vanique Upkins, I don't see you, so I can't address you unless I can see you.
Okay, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I don't know why it's not.
Okay, while I'm waiting for, there we go. All right. Miss, are you Miss Vanique Upkins?
Yes.
And are you lying down on a bed or I can't tell from this angle?
Yes.
You're lying down in a bed?
Yes.
Are you required to lie down in a bed?
No, 1 second.
You are in a courtroom. I don't think we have the lying down option. Beats being in a bathroom. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry about that.
All right. Ms. Hopkins, did you want to say something about this case?
Yes.
Okay, sit up straight. Sit up straight. Raise your right hand. Yes, sir. Your other right hand.
Oh.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Put it down. Are you living with Mr. Payne?
No, like I was trying to tell them before, me and Mr. Payne just started contact from the initial case. We were trying to work things out as far as being friends, and I told them he was my ex-boyfriend because from the previous case. But with this
So you're not living together now?
No,
When did you start living with him?
that was before. We were just in the same location. We were in the car. We weren't in any location or anything. We were in the car when the
How come-
incident.
How is it that both of you were in the same car together on the October 18th?
We were driving together. But we weren't at the same location. We weren't like at a residence or anything. We were just driving together. I'm not even from that side of town. So we were just with each other at that time. And
So you don't live at 1050 Hammond Drive?
No,
How far away do you live?
I live in Stone Mountain.
Okay. Yeah. And do you have children together?
No.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me?
Not in fear of Mr. Payne. Like I said, I don't really know what started the issue. We weren't having any problems. I was literally just driving in the car. But yeah, that I don't really have anything to say unless you guys have something to ask me.
Okay. All right. All right. Keep in touch with Victim Advocate's office if anything changes, okay? Like your address or something.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, dear. You can mute your screen. All right. Ms. Kim, your client wants to add something. Mr. Payne, I've already advised you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case can and will be used against you. And I don't think your attorney wants you to say anything. So
I can give you a call, Mr. Payne. I'll give you a call.
all right. This Mr. Payne had a pretrial bond almost just over a year ago from 21 CR 005-156Y, where he was accused of battery domestic violence against Vanique Upkins. The order expressly says on the first line, no further contact with Vanique Upkins, which means staying 200 yards away from her. Do not communicate with her in person. Do not communicate by phone, any device. That was a violation of a no further contact order. And now Mr. Upkins has been arrested again for battery domestic violence against the same person. I don't understand the nature of the relationship between Mr. Payne and Mr. Upkins.
Can I say something, Judge?
No, you've already said all you need to say. That's why I said you need to keep in touch with the Solicitor General's office.
Because we first were aware that we couldn't be around each other after he just had his recent case. So that's why we didn't know that was the case. We haven't had any contact.
Miss Vanique, you need to be quiet. Otherwise, I'm going to have you removed from the Zoom.
Okay.
Mute your screen. Host, would you mute? Yeah, thank you. I don't really care what Miss Vanique understands or does not understand. What I care about is what the defendant understands and does not understand. And if you watched all the hearings, I take the time to explain to the defendant what no further contact means. And you violated the no further contact. Your $2,500 signature bond is going to be revoked and converted to a surety bond. That is the penalty for violating the terms of your pretrial bond. Violation is failure to comply with the no further contact and getting arrested again. What is most egregious is the same victim. Your bond in the present case is going to be a $3,000 cash bond only. You are to have no further contact with Vanique Upkins. And let me repeat what that means. That means staying 200 yards away from Vanique Upkins. Do not call her through the phone. Do not speak to her through any computer device, nor through any third party. You do not comment about her on social media. You're also not to contact her, not to speak to her in person. If she wants to come and speak to you, if she wants to have contact with you, you are under a court order to stay away from her. If she knocks on the door, you don't answer it. If she calls you on the phone, you don't answer it. If she comes walking towards you, you turn around and walk away. The only way that can be amended is if there's another court order to say we are modifying the no further contact. No alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and no firearms. And your next court date is November 3rd. Can we unmute courtroom 2? Mr. Payne, you've been already advised of your right to remain silent. Would you like to waive your right to remain silent?
Yes.
Ms. Kim?
I strongly recommend against you. Do you have a question about the bond? I can give you a call and explain to you.
I honestly don't. What I have to say is I was being with Tree Trial with Miss Brown, and Miss Brown hasn't been giving me contact or anything. I was supposed to go to get piss checked and call in and stuff like that. The last time I called in with Miss Brown, she said she was supposed to send me a letter stating that everything was said and done. I didn't have to come back for pretrial and everything because I went to my last piss check and they didn't find anything. She didn't state and she didn't give me another email.
Ms. Brown is not your attorney. If you wanted legal advice, you should have contacted the public defender's office.
She did. She contacted them and see if I had to do anything else because I wasn't sure of that and the contact order. I wasn't sure that I was still have to
Mr. Payne, Ms. Brown is not your attorney. She doesn't contact, you contact the public defender's office. Yep, it's a tough call. And then when you get arrested again for battery, oh my God, it just makes it worse. So
I called the police though, so I don't know why I'm getting offended because I called the police initially because of the incident was taken up. So I don't know why that I called the police and that I'm getting arrested, I'm getting locked up because I had bruises and scratches on myself as well. My glasses are broken and my earring is gone and I have a bruise on my face. So they took me and that's not, I called the police first for that reason because I was on pretrial and I had a bond. And there's a record that I did talk to the police officer and said that I had a problem with her and he did see me walk away. He did see me walk away.
Mr. Payne, I'm not sure why you keep speaking because the more you speak, it's just worse for your case. Thank you. Next case, please.
14, Woodson.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Mr. Shamir Woodson is accused of theft by taking from October 19, 2022, case number 22 CR 007-079A. Mr. Woodson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And any priors, Mr. Tucson? Mr. Howard?
I'm here. I had to run to my desk. Who we on?
Are we on Woodson, position 14?
Here, 7 total. Last arrest was 2019 out of the Bronx for robbery. It says second degree, aided by another.
What
Assault,
year was that?
2019. Assault in the second degree with intent to cause serious injury. Assault third degree with the intent to cause physical injury. Menacing second degree weapon. And it says criminal obstruction of breathing or blood. Oh yeah, hold on. Yeah, the 08 conviction. I'm sure state knows what it is. You know what it is, state? I'll put it in the chat.
Larceny, yes. For
What?
larceny in New York. That's what I have.
Nah, I ain't talking about that.
Oh, well.
It's on his 5th New York cycle.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Ms. Ari?
No,
Oh,
Judge,
Mr. Toll, sorry.
it's okay, Judge. The state's bond recommendation is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services with conditions of staying away from the incident location. 75th Street, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia, 30308. And no further contact with the victim, Cardine Dunn. And that's spelled C as in cat, A-R-D as in dog, I-N-E, D-U, and last name is D-U-N-N. And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Judge, on October 19th of this year, the police responded to the incident location.
I'm sorry, Mr. Toll, I've already read the warrant. So is he a student at Georgia Tech or is this just an outside Georgia Tech incident? That's the only thing I couldn't tell.
From the state's knowledge, he's not a student of Georgia.
It happened at Tech Square, was that?
That's correct. Mhm.
Okay. I'm going to grant the $3,000 signature bond for pretrial services. He's to stay away from the entire Georgia Tech campus and no contact with Cardine Dunn. And next court date will be sent to his current address. The current address we have is, sorry, it's very slow.
This would be per judge.
Yeah, it'll be per judge. Well, hang on, it was per Mr. Toll.
Yeah, per ASG, Satole.
Okay. Don't dump it all on me. So I have Wamsley Way. Is that your correct address? Ms. Kim, is that your client's correct address? Wamsley
Your Honor,
Way?
I do have a 2032 Glenview Parkway, Stone Mountain. I'll be happy to put it into chat.
Okay, please put in the chat to, is it to Miss Holly?
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. All right, and, all right, that's it. Mr. Yes, Mr. Watson.
I was looking for the opportunity to let my lawyer speak for me
Well,
because
you got the signature bond, so let's just.
You've got a signature bond. You don't have to pay for your bond, but you have to report to pretrial once a month.
Okay.
And you have to stay away from the entire campus that belongs to Georgia Tech or the Institute of Technology of Georgia. No further contact with Cardine Dunn, the alleged owner of the wallet. You have to make sure you stay 200 yards away from her and do not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner.
Okay, now my fiance was in the process of bailing me out. No, I want to, it's a real question, miss. My fiance was in the process of paying my $1,000 bond, putting the money down for it as y'all were calling us for court. So
Well,
do I get that money
if
back?
she pays the bond, then that's it then.
So I can get that money back?
Well, if you can reach her in time, that'll be good.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the signature.
Okay.
Bad sexy, so
Is Brian Zanders there or, yeah. Brian Christian Zanders, case number 22 CR 007-080E, is accused of willful obstruction of an officer, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, driving with expired and no license plates, driving while license suspended or revoked and suspended registration from October 18th, 2022. Born 1998, okay. And has another open case. Not good. Okay.
total.
Mr. Zanders, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Yes, Mr. Tucson, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
8 total. Last arrest was in April. That's the open case, 22 CR 002-437E. Suspended registration, window tint, suspended license.
Okay, thank you. Was that
Before
a
that,
pretrial bond or a straight bond?
oh, I don't know.
Split, Judge, it was a $3,000 split bond.
Was it jail or pretrial?
I think it was.
Yeah, I got it. No problem. Sometimes it works faster. Okay. Judge Melanie Williams gave him a split bond. It was 1,500 surety and the 1,500 SOB jail. So it was a $3,000 split bond. And that was for suspended registration, no insurance, driving license suspended or revoked. Didn't get the memo. Okay. All right, Ms. Satol, what is your recommendation?
Yes, Judge, the state's recommendation, well, there's already a total of a $4,200 surety bond already set. And the state would like for those bonds to remain as set. For count 1, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, $1,000 surety bond. For count 2, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, $600 surety bond. For count 3, driving with an expired or no license plate, $600 surety bond. For count 4, driving while license suspended or revoked, a $1,000 surety bond. And for count 5, suspended registration, a $1,000 surety bond. And with conditions of no driving without a valid license and tag, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out. Judge, on October 18th of this year, Officer K. Eason observed a black Jaguar drive past him into the parking lot of 2333 Peachtree Road. He ran the tag and the vehicle showed to have a suspended and expired registration. The owner's information showed to have a suspended driver's license for a failure to appear, in addition to a failure to appear in marijuana possession out of Coweta County. The driver approached the vehicle and tapped on the window. The defendant crawled to the back seat of the vehicle and exited out of the back right passenger door. When the officer attempted to physically detain the defendant, he took flight on foot. He ran towards the intersection of Peachtree Road Northeast and Peachtree Battle Avenue. He then ran across the street into traffic and made a right turn into the neighborhood and jumped a metal gate at the back of the neighborhood. He was finally apprehended by a backup officer. He was found with 5 grams of marijuana located next to him in his hiding spot. Judge, the state is concerned that this defendant runs a risk of reoffending due to the open case that was mentioned by pretrial, as well as serving as a flight risk due to the 14 failure to appears in his driving history for municipal court, and also considering how he fled the scene in this current case.
Okay. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Zanders is 23 years old and he is Atlanta, Georgia native. He doesn't have any children, nor he's a single. He has his parents, family members all here. He was on the way to work. He works at National Parking as a lot manager. He's been doing that for 10 months. He graduated from high school. He went to Georgia State University for about a year. And he says that he had an appointment to get his driver's license on October 19, 2022. However, he couldn't go there because he was incarcerated to get his license reinstated. And we would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet we understand that Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond. He already has a warrant in Coweta County, so it's not like he cannot be a flight risk at this point. He will be released to probably Coweta County, and I would like to request for signature on bond. He's half student, half working, but he does not have a lot of financial resources. Thanks, Your Honor.
Well, it isn't the financial resources that bother me right now. It's his failure to comply. In addition to this new case, he's got the prior case, 22 CR 002437E, which wasn't too long ago. He's got another open case in Fulton County, 20 CR 001644E, theft by shoplifting. And he's got a failure to appear in that case as well. Bond on the willful obstruction of an officer is $2,000. The misdemeanor possession of marijuana is a $2,000 surety. Possession of marijuana is a $500 signature bond to the jail. Driving with expired or no license plate is a $500 surety bond. Driving while license suspended or revoked is a $5,000 surety bond. And suspended registration is a $500 surety bond. 5, 6, 7, that's an $8,000 surety bond and a $500 signature bond through the jail. Total bond is $8,500. One condition. No driving unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration, tag, and plates at that time. Otherwise, Uber. Thank you. Next court date is November 3rd. Oh, and when we see him on November 3rd, we will see all three cases. This one, 2437E, and the shoplifting case, 20 CR 001644E. Ms. Holly, do you have all three case numbers?
Yes, they have.
Okay. We will address all three cases. Those are the only three I found. If there are more, let me know. Thank you. Okay, who do we have right now?
Our last two cases, Judge, is the breakout, position 4 and 5.
Okay, who do we have in the seat right now?
This is position 5, Irby.
Mr. Corian Irby is 22 CM 007072J, accused of battery domestic violence from October 19, 2022. Mr. Irby, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you say, the statements can and will be used against you. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Wanda Gant. Mr. Jordan, who's hosting, could you place me and Ms. Sowry, Ms. Gant, sorry, Ms. Sowry and Ms. Kim, sorry, in a breakout room, please?
And also Deputy Rhodes, please.
Oh, yes, Deputy Rhodes. Okay. Ms. McLeod, did you have another case with us? No? Okay.
Judge Law. Judge Law. Yeah.
How many cases we got left?
I was trying to. Tucson.
Yes.
Oh, good. She already left, Judge Law.
Yeah.
I was trying to tell her to do both cases for the breakout.
What happened with Raglan?
With who?
Raglan?
Raglan, bonded out.
Cool. That must have been announced before court, because I didn't know.
I didn't mention it.
I'm talking about Norris. I hear him in the background.
He wasn't on the calendar at all. He made bond before the calendar went up.
Yeah, I see.
What was the other case? Y'all said they needed to talk about in breakout room?
I know.
No, I was trying to catch Judge Law before she went in the breakout, because both of the cases need to break out.
It's Irby and SC.
Yeah.
No more? No more?
Oh, okay. I'll come down to the court.
Yeah.
What's the bond amount for Kendrick? Number 6.
You asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I'll write them on their 3 cards. They already took.
Just send them out the door, huh? Okay. I got you. All right.
Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, first we're going to talk about position 5. I got Jeffrey Francois, I got your message about position 4. We'll take that up accordingly. Where was I? Oh, okay. Corian Irby is accused of battery domestic violence from October 19, 2022. His attorney is Miss Wanda Gant. And Mr. Tucson, any priors? Tucson Howard?
Third arrest. Last arrest was in May on lawful carry of a weapon and shoplifting in Cobb County.
Anything else?
Well, that was 2019 felony theft by taking. They reduced it to a misdemeanor because he got 12 months probation for that.
Okay. Miss Sowry, I'm sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident took place at 2591 Etheridge, that's ETHERIDGE Drive in Atlanta. Officers responded and spoke with the victim, whose name is Tamisha, that's TOMESHA, last name Jackson. She's the mother of the defendant, and I do believe she's on the Zoom call. She stated that when she came home from work, she saw the defendant in his room sweating and lying on the floor. And despite the victim asking the defendant what was wrong with him, he wouldn't answer. And he got upset with her and began to argue, and then he eventually bit the victim on her finger. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond with conditions of no contact with the victim, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, MHET, and nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Corian Irby is 20 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 15 years. He has cousins and his mother here, who is the complaining witness, Mrs. Tamisha Jackson. Mr. Irby obtained a diploma in high school. He is currently employed at UPS. He states that he started this job about 2 weeks ago. Therefore, he is still on probation. And of course, if he misses work, he certainly will be at risk of losing his job. He denies the allegations, Your Honor. I am requesting a signature bond on Mr. Irby's behalf. We heard a little bit about his history. However, I did not hear about any convictions for violence. If Your Honor determines that he's ineligible for a signature bond, then I would ask for a bond of no more than $1,000. We are opposed to any no contact provisions, and that would include a stay away, Your Honor, as Mr. Irby does live at the incident location with his mother. I've had the occasion to speak with Ms. Jackson. She states that she wants contact, as does my client, and further, for reasons stated, we are opposed to the MHET. Thank you, Your Honor.
So he's got an open felony case, and as far as I can tell, that's not been resolved yet. Theft by taking from May 2019. Mr. Tucson, do you know whether there's been a resolution in that case?
What case, Judge? The open case?
Yeah, he had a $10,000 signature bonds for pretrial.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. Let me look it up. Out here.
There was a bond signed by Judge Frazier back in May 21st, 2019. And parental cosigner was required.
All right, I'm looking now. Booking number.
While we're waiting on that, Ms. Jackson, which one's Ms. Jackson?
This is me.
All right, Ms. Jackson, all right. And Ms. Jackson, if you'd like to say something, I'd like to place you on the oath first. Would that be okay?
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right. This is not an ideal situation where the victim is also the person with whom he lives. Can you comment on that?
Yes, that I am his mom, so I mean, it's, mom, son, a little altercation. I called the police because for them to just, have them leave for a while, but other than him going to jail and all that, that's not what I was going for at all. It just
You
ended
called the
up turning out-
police.
Yes, but not for him to go to jail. I didn't want him to go to jail, just to calm everything down. I needed them to calm everything down, but not for him to go to jail. That's my son. I don't want to see him being in trouble. Like, we working together to try to keep him, in the good place. We worked hard, got his high school diploma. We working hard to get him a job. I'm working hard to get him to get his CDLs with me. So I want to work with my son to make him a better person, not for him to be a criminal.
Well, let's see what's going on. I see there was an open felony case from 2019, so.
Your Honor, that's actually a guilty conviction. I have the case number.
Please.
19 SC 168016.
So he's a convicted felon now.
Judge, that case was reduced to a misdemeanor.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, he has an open case in Cobb County from May.
From Cobb County?
Yes.
And what's that case?
Unlawful carry of a weapon and shoplifting.
Correct.
Yeah.
19 SC. Final disposition. So he pled guilty to a 12 misdemeanor theft by taking, and was on 12 months probation. This was on June 13, 2019. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, I really regret that we are even going through this. It's like steps backwards, him just getting a job and trying to do better. He's not no bad kid at all. Like this never happened. It's just, he just went a little too far where I had to be like, okay, call somebody so it don't get too far. You know what I mean? So, but I definitely do not want to see him in this situation at all. I'm very heartbroken by it. I've been struggling by just having to deal with him even being in there. I love my son. He my only one. I don't have any more kids. So it's like, I don't want this for him at all. Like I really regret it. And I pray that, you be very lenient on him. And so me and him, we can work together and get everything back in order how it should be.
Bond is going to be set at 2,500. It's a surety bond. He's to have no further contact with Ms. Jackson. Stay away from the Etheridge Drive location. His next court date is November 3rd. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And if he does make bond, he's not to return to the Etheridge Drive location. He can return there one time only to retrieve his personal belongings. That visit must be in the company of a police officer. You have 30 days to then let us know of your new address so we can send you your notice for your next court date. Thank
So
you.
he don't have nowhere else to go, but here with me at home.
Ms. Jackson, this is called growing up for him. Thank you.
Judge Law, what was the bond?
Thank you, Your Honor.
2,500 surety.
You said 35.
2500.
Okay.
No further contact with Ms. Jackson and stay away from the incident location. Thank you.
Position 4.
All right, I have instructed all the attorneys to waive sounding on the charge as well as no reference to the nature of the charge. The objection has been noted on the chat feature. This is Richard Esinomo, accused of a misdemeanor offense. Mr. Esinomo, are you, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Ms. Wanda Gant. All right, Mr. Esinomo, have you spoken to your attorney, Ms. Wanda Gant?
Who's speaking? Who's that?
Yes, he spoke to somebody, Judge.
All right, and Ms. Gant, have you informed him of the charge brought against him?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so he's aware of the charge brought against him from October 19th, 2022. Mr. Howard, any priors? I see an open case
Where you see that at?
at the bottom of the calendar, 22 CR 002925E.
Okay, that's obstruction and possession of drug-related others.
Yes.
Also has an open case out of Clayton County, interference with government property, public drunk, death by taking, giving false name.
What's the date on those incidents?
Let me look at it. It was on the bond assessment. Hold on. The interference with government property was April of this year. Interference and theft by taking.
April
Shoplifting.
2022. Sorry, go ahead, shoplifting.
Shoplifting and giving false name was March of this year. Clayton County.
All right.
February of this year, disorderly conduct, criminal trespass, Clayton County. 2021 conviction for possession of drug-related objects, Clayton County. 2020.
No, that's good. Thank you.
And he also got history out of North Carolina. That's
Similar to the charge brought against him?
No. No.
Ms. Sari, what's the state's recommendation for bond? I've already read the warrant.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would like to put on record that we are objecting to the waiving of the charge, the sound of the charge, as well as the factual basis. The state's recommendation in this case is a $7,500 surety bond due to the nature of the incident, SDET, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gant?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Richard Eisenuma is 26 years old. He has been in the Atlanta, Georgia area for 10 years. He graduated high school and has some college where he studied mechanical engineering. Your Honor, he is unemployed at this time and has been unemployed for a period of time. Therefore, he does not have the means to pay anything toward bond. He does not have any family to assist. He strongly denies the allegations. Therefore, in this case, Your Honor, I am requesting a signature bond. If Your Honor determines that he's ineligible, I would ask for a more reasonable bond of no more than $1,000. And we are opposed to the SDET as we did not hear about any prior convictions or arrest, and my client is presumed innocent. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Bond is set at $3,000. It is a surety bond. No further contact with the alleged victim. And his next court date is November 3rd. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. At the next SAP calendar, November 3rd, we will address this case as well as his other open case, 22 CR 002925E.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge Law, we're completed here in courtroom 2.
That concludes the calendar.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, Francois. We will see you soon. Thank you.
Welcome. Have a
Thank
good
you,
one.
Judge. Beyond. Good.
All right, let's go down the calendar, please. Position number 1 is 2,500 surety bond for the notice November 3rd. Position 2 is reset to tomorrow's fee calendar at 10:21. Position 3 is a 6,500 signature bond through pre-trial for the notice. Position 4 is a 3,000 surety bond, reset date November 3rd. Position 5 is a 2,500 surety bond, reset date November 3rd. Position 6 is a 2,500 surety, November 3rd. Position 7 is transferred to Superior Court as a felony matter. No, I didn't. Are there bonds in Mr. Mondragon's case? I can't recall.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's get back to that case in a moment for bonds, but in the meantime, let's address position 8 is a 3,500 split bond, reset November 3rd. Position 9,
Yes. Number 8, how much was good?
2,500 surety, $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Right? Position 9, Payne, I think I put down 2,500.
I got 3,000.
3,000 cash only, okay. Further notice from November 3rd. Position 10 is a 2,500 split bond, and 1,500 was surety, and $1,000 was signature bond through the jail. Reset November 3rd. Position 11 is a $5,000 signature bond through pre-trial. Position 12 and 13 are 2,500 surety each. Reset November 3rd. Position 14 is a 3,000 signature bond pre-trial further notice. And position 15 is a 8,500 split bond. We have $500 signature bond to the jail and 8,000 surety bond, in which we will also address these 2 other cases. All right. Let's see, which one was this? This is Sanders. Okay. All right. Let's get back to the bond issue on Mr. Mondragon, Joel Mondragon. These are misdemeanor charges. The warrant should have set a bond already. Were these from Fulton County warrants? I can't. Yeah, we do have bonds that they're $1,000 on each count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Attempt to misrepresent the tag, hit and run, 1,000, obscured or missing license plate, willful obstruction, reckless driving. All right. There was a charge, failed duty of the driver to stop or return to the scene of the accident. Did the state add this charge?
No, we added the battery charge, Your Honor.
Oh, the battery charge, okay. So he's right now got a $5,000 bond. On the battery charge, I'm just going to add $1,000 signature bond through the jail because I don't have a warrant for that specific charge. So I guess we'll just do that. We just need bonds on all these charges, and then because they're all misdemeanors, and then when they go to Superior Court can decide how they want to. Well, they're adding a charge, right, or amending it?
Yes, it's going to be upgraded to an ag assault.
With the vehicle, okay, yeah, so, but right now it's $1,000 signature bond to the jail, and then Superior Court can always amend that accordingly. Okay. Correct. All right, folks, that concludes our calendar. Thank you very much.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the bond amount for number 6?
For who?
Number 6.
It is, number 6, sorry. Better go back quite a few pages over here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was a 2,500 surety bond.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? We good? All right, folks, take care. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.